Happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Extreme Fantasy Junkies. To get this started, it's a beautiful night. I personally think so.
Keep it on.
I want to get right into this. 3 games this weekend that I picked. 3 games, our 2-minute drill. And each one of these intrigued me. They really did. Now, first game that I'm actually really interested, but at the same time, we gotta break it down because I think it's a necessary game. Because I think it's the game of the week. Pats and the Steelers. What was wrong? The Brady Welker theory, was that tested? The Steelers, what worked? Big Ben, who hustled for you on that team? Michael?
Pats fans, you should be panicking right now because your team isn't looking good. The defense came out and allowed Big Ben to throw for over 350 yards. Meanwhile, Tom Brady had one of his worst games of the season. Granted, he had 2 TDs, but he had under 250 yards, which you're not accustomed to seeing if you're a Pats fan. Wes Welker and Deion Branch didn't have as good of a games as you're accustomed to seeing, and that's because Pittsburgh's defense laid out a blueprint for the rest of the league on how you beat the Patriots, and that's by being physical with the New England receivers, jamming them at the line, because the Pats thrive off of short, precise routes, and if you interrupt those routes, you're causing a lot of havoc in the Patriots' backfield, and we all witnessed that against the Steelers. Pittsburgh held the ball for over 39 minutes, which was crucial. That's another way you can beat the Patriots, is by keeping Brady and that Poen offense on the bench, and that's exactly what the Steelers did. They ran the clock out, and they flipped the script on the Patriots. The Patriots are used to going into Pittsburgh and coming out victorious, but the Steelers really did a number on them, and yeah, it's a good game. Sad to see them lose, but you can't win them all.
What worked for Big Ben, you think?
I think the short intermediate passes to Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders. Mike Wallace wasn't that big of a player because they weren't going deep. They were throwing the ball short. Mendenhall was able to provide some punch.
Right on the tip of my tongue.
He didn't have a big game. He didn't have a lot of yards, but he was a big factor in that 39-minute time possession that they had for the game.
I actually paid attention this time, and I actually saw that name pop up all the time. I'm like, yeah, he's doing this thing.
I predicted they were going to lose 2 games this season, and I'm still holding to that. I think for the rest of the regular season, I'm going to say this, I think that they're not going to lose another game. That's my bold statement.
I'm just going to make a quick comment. These Steelers have followed the blueprint to beat the Patriots that seemed to be the same blueprint for the last 2 seasons. First exposed by Eric Mangini when he was the coach of the Cleveland Browns when they seemed to be untouchable. It's jam Wes Welker at the line. Once you take away Wes Welker, he's the heart and soul of that offense other than Brady. You don't have a talented... when you have Deion Branch needs Hernandez needs Gronk, and Gronk needs Brady to be at his best game. And if Brady can't find his go-to guy all the time in Welker, if he's always being held up, getting rushed from all sides, I give a lot of the blame to the offensive line. Bad.
Yeah, like they were saying on ESPN, who's gonna see a Super Bowl first? Is it gonna be Romo or Michael Vick? Well, you know what? The game that I want to head to you is actually basically the Cowboys-Eagles game. And the way I look at it, Mr. Romo, what happened? Eagles, Michael Vick, where have you been all my life?
Mr. Romo, what happened is the Eagles happened to Mr. Romo. If you remember a few episodes ago, I made a statement that the Eagles were not done. The Eagles were going to come back and beat some divisional opponents and make a run. They were just too talented to just go out like that. And this is exactly what we're seeing. They're now tied in first place with every other team in the division behind the Giants. But anyway, let's get right to the game. What happened was the Eagles jumped out and they never took their foot off the pedal. You thought when Vic got sacked on the first play of the game that was going to be it, but they were able to regain their composure. And you have Vic going 21 for 28, 2 touchdowns. Not spectacular Aaron Rodgers type numbers, but respectable quarterback numbers.
Yeah.
And that's what you need Vic to be as a quarterback. But the big story is LaShawn McCoy lightening the load off of Vic's shoulders.
Yes.
LaShawn McCoy taking the load off the receivers and off the defense, because you got LaShawn McCoy going 30 times, carrying the rock 30 times for 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. Those are superstar numbers. Those are fantasy superstar numbers. Those are championship-winning superstar numbers. No matter which way you go, when you got that type of production from your running back, when you got that type of production from your running back, good things are going to happen. Yeah. Quarterback life becomes easy. Wide receivers life becomes easy. The defense can just sit back and watch this magnificent play, because the Cowboys are going to have to throw a bunch of times now to catch up. And when Tony Romo's your quarterback, let's face it, as of late, that's a good thing for your defense. Nothing really changed as far as receiving goes. I mean, Avant, Magdalene, Deshaun Jackson, they all contributed. Brent Selick being the biggest contributor for 94 yards and a touchdown. The only bright spot for the Dallas Cowboys would be Murray, who got 74 yards on only 8 carries. I mean, if there's anything to take away if you hold a Cowboys player, it's Murray. Other than that, it was a 34-7 route. Eagles, watch out for the Eagles. They're on the uprise now.
We even said that. Yeah. I remember that 2 weeks ago. We basically said they have a team with good plays. They just need to get that chemistry level going. And I was like, holy cow! When I saw this, when I saw the results, I saw like, Jesus Christ, man! You wiped the floor with them.
Yeah. And also, last week I made a bold prediction that DeMarco Murray was going to be the starting running back for the Cowboys. Well, guess what? They just released Tashard Choice. He just signed with the Redskins. Now the only other running back in the backfield is Felix Jones, the often injured Felix Jones. So for the rest of the season, look for DeMarco Murray to be the starting running back for your Dallas Cowboys.
Wow. Yards on
might
8
stand
carries.
by that bold prediction.
That one might come true.
Yeah.
He might pan out a little bit.
Now, this wasn't the game of the week, but this game right here, I'm just shocked and awe. This was just, to me, it was a crazy weekend. It actually really was. Besides a big storm here in the North Shore here, I don't even want to get into that. Me and him were playing firefighter, for Christ's sake. Basically, Jonathan, the game that I want to hand to you.
Yep.
Detroit, Denver. Now this is key. Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, 3 touchdowns, 267 yards. What went right for you, man? Besides Calvin Johnson, 6 receptions, 125 yards, 1 touchdown. Oh my God, was that his worst game? I don't know. I can't really say that. That's a lot of yards. I mean, it wasn't 2. I mean, it wasn't 2 touchdowns, but still. Team Tebow. Why? What went wrong? Jesus.
Hey, let me step in.
I knew you were gonna step in.
Let me step in for you, and let me first say you had another bold prediction that Tebow was gonna, do some damage in Denver, and Tebow could possibly be the next big thing. And in the meantime, I said he was just gonna sell merchandise, and that is all. According to this game, that is all he's doing. You know what?
He loves his mom.
You know what? Tim Tebow, he wasn't bowing his head yesterday because he was hoping God was going to come and save him. There was no 4th quarter comeback for Tim Tebow. And like I said last week, Tebow is still not the real deal. I'm still not sold on Tebow. 172 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. That is not quality quarterback ranking. That's the ranking you put him in with Kevin Cobb and other people as such that just are awful this year. You could even put him in with Brady technically this week, because Brady had what some could consider a bad week. But anyway, getting to this game, the real story is that Detroit, they got out of their 2-game slump, which was really important. It's Denver of all teams, but it was really important for Detroit to get out of this slump. They have some important games coming up, especially one with Green Bay on Thanksgiving. Another person I'd like to highlight for a second that I believe you mentioned once, I believe it was last week, was Titus Young. And Titus Young, tedious. And he had a great game, all things considered, for a rookie. 66 yards on 4 receptions for a touchdown. Scheffler came alive. Morris ran the ball okay. And the only bright spot for Denver was Eric Decker. And yeah, that's about it for Denver. I have nothing more to say on them. Is their situation going to get any better? I don't know, but what I can say is Denver's going to need to really fix up their quarterback issue. Otherwise, they're in a controversy, serious controversy. It's not Tim Tebow versus Kyle Orton.
And unfortunately, that comes to an end. Like I said, that game there's just so much statistically. There's so much to talk about in that game. I really took pride in this 2-minute drill. I really did. But actually, funny thing, we actually second one of the show we have now fan questions. We actually received. I'm not gonna say I because this is a team. We received a fan question from Calvin Chang. Calvin had asked, what's the fair trade value for Deshaun Jackson? Now, I would actually love to know that.
First, I'm sorry. First and foremost, thank you, Calvin, for hitting us up again. Appreciate your questions. Like I said, like we say every week, we hope Calvin in, along anybody else in your league, anybody else tuning in, hit us up. But I'll get right to it. I mean, I looked at your roster. You got Fred Jackson, Ray Rice, Jason Witten, Victor Cruz, Tom Brady. I don't see why you need to trade Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson's a player on the team that's getting hot right now. With the pressure off Vic, he's going to be making a lot more throws, and Deshaun Jackson's the type of player that it could be a 5-yard quick little screen, and it could turn into an 80-yard touchdown. He's that fast, he's that shifty. I'd hold on to him if you really do want to get rid of him. I haven't seen your bench, but maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to take a few players just for Deshaun Jackson. Maybe a backup quarterback. Lord knows where Brady's going to go. We'll talk about that in the next coming weeks, but maybe a backup quarterback. Maybe you can get a Jackie Battle and a Steve Bresson, guys I've been high on. Maybe you can get a Burry and a Fred Dave. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Somebody will overpay for Jackson because somebody will realize his potential to be a home run threat every time he touches the ball. My personal opinion, hold on to the guy.
In terms of your question, I actually have to agree with Jeff. I'd say hold on to Deshaun. Right now, the Eagles are on an uprise. I understand because they're on an uprise, you might want to package him off to another owner. But honestly, Vic's going to find Deshaun at this point. After the bye week, I think they must have done some talking. Obviously, Selleck's not going to be Vic's favorite target. We already know this. We've seen this last year and this year. Selleck's a once every while, and he had a great game, but I don't think it's going to really be consistent. Whereas Deshaun Jackson's the type of guy, he could be that consistent receiver in the upcoming weeks. But if you really wanted to trade for him, I'm going to throw out a name that, judging from the stats right now, the way the two are performing, really fair trade value. I mean, you guys can disagree with this. I'm going to say Roddy White.
All right.
And the reason is because I think I'm still high on Roddy White. I have him on my team. And I really think that it's about time that Matt Ryan, if Julio Jones is still injured, and Tony Gonzalez, I don't think he's going to do much more damage in the next couple weeks, if not this or the next week. I think Roddy White's going to become a factor soon. And if you really want to get rid of Deshaun, I mean, Roddy White, he's a possible, but honestly, in my opinion, I'd say keep Deshaun.
All right.
I'll just take the opposite viewpoint from that. Just judging based off some of the names that you gave us, your other receivers are Cruz and Macklin. Now, going forward for the rest of the season, if you were to trade Deshaun Jackson, I wouldn't feel comfortable going into a weekly game with Cruz and Macklin as my top two receivers. So with that being said, if you're going to trade Deshaun Jackson, I would suggest you get another receiver in return. We all seen that LaShawn McCoy got 30 carries last game. How much more are they going to be relying on the run in Philly? We don't really know for sure, but LaShawn McCoy is a talent, and he's probably going to see a lot more reps for the rest of the season. A couple of names I think you could get fair trade value. Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald, AJ Green, and Dwayne Bowe. Personally, if I had to choose out of all those names, as much as I love AJ Green, and we'll get into that later, I'm going to have to suggest you go with Dwayne Bowe. He's the #1 receiver out in Kansas City. He gets all the targets right now. Steve Preston is the #2. Other than that, when it comes to passing, Matt Castle doesn't have any other options through the air. So if you can maybe get a Dwayne Bowe, I think he would be able to help you out for the rest of the season.
He ripped it up last season.
He ripped it up last season. I know he blew up for a lot of people last season when no one expected he would. John, we didn't expect he would. I traded him to John. John made the playoffs. I didn't.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break for now. When we get back, Studs and Duds this week. Woohoo! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is our Studs and Duds. portion of the show. A lot this week. A lot of studs and duds. It really, like I said, besides a crazy storm that we had up in the Northeast, it was just like really, if you had electricity, it was actually a really good day for football. If you didn't, regardless if you could read and write, or just read the paper, or go on your smartphone, if you had power, it was a good week. Now, who's actually got the studs and duds this week? I didn't even know. I didn't even ask.
All right, well, I'll do the duds.
Nice.
Fortunately for me, there was a lot of duds this week. First of all, and I think probably the biggest surprise on this list would be Wes Welker. He only had 6 catches on 39 yards. We mentioned earlier how the Steelers were able to shut down the Patriots wide receivers. Wes Welker was obviously limited, only 6 catches for 39 yards. Again, it's worth repeating because he hasn't produced numbers like that in a long time. Another name also, Chris Johnson, only 34 yards on 14 carries. He hasn't had his breakout game this season, and with numbers like that, I'm beginning to question whether or not it's ever going to come. Yeah. He was outproduced once again by Javon Ringer, who had, I believe it was a total of 80-plus yards on the day. So is he going to be the feature back on that team for the rest of the season? It's tough to say with that type of production. It doesn't seem to be warranted. Jarvis Green Ellis. Yeah. He only got 5 touches for 9 yards. I thought the Patriots were going to rely more on the run after that big game he had against Dallas. I think we all thought that they were going to be starting to rely more on the run. They shied away from it, and his production suffered. Jimmy Graham of the New Orleans Saints, only 4 catches, 39 yards. I told you guys to start him last week, and he didn't come through. But you can't put all the blame on him because none of the Saints showed up against the Rams.
Yeah, I got hit with Jimmy Graham this week. I mean, it wasn't the only one. Everyone, obviously, fantasy football, everyone did.
Yeah, I mean, going along with what you said about the Saints, Drew Brees is one of my quarterbacks, one of my leagues in the absolute murder. Yeah. Expected a way bigger game against the Rams, but hey, you know, on any given Sunday, any team wins. Anything can happen. Now I'm going to go along, and I'm going to go with some of the studs. And I just would like to point something out. It's something that happens pretty much every season. We're at the halfway point, and now you're going to start seeing these names consistently being performers. This is what separates the pretenders from the real deal guys. Guys are always going to make these lists, and I'm going to quickly go through some names that have been said every single week, starting with my favorite wide receiver in the NFL right now since week 1, and that's Megatron Calvin Johnson, 125 yards. You said it was his. If you're going to say, like Mike, that 6 receptions, 125 yards, and 1 touchdown is his bad week.
Exactly. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, doesn't he usually get 2 or 3?
If that's a bad week, I want that receiver on my team every single game.
Every single week.
Every single game. But then again, he wasn't the top receiver. I got to go with Anakin Bolden. Yeah. He wasn't a scoring threat, but he was definitely a possession receiver. 7 receptions, 145 yards in a Ravens offense that usually is only known for Ray Rice. So kudos to Anakin Bolden. Let's get to the running game. I mentioned him earlier, LaShawn McCoy. I think no other running back in the NFL this weekend, up until tonight, Monday night game, has outshined the 30 carries for 185 yards and 2 touchdowns with Steven Jackson. Not to be forgotten about. Steven Jackson, remember, you know, that guy in the Rams that everyone forgot about, who's been struggling down there. Got to give props to Steven Jackson, coming through with 25 carries, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. Welcome back, Steven. I'd like to make a special little shout out to somebody who I've doubted, who I no longer doubt anymore. It's just unfortunate that he's on this team or in this situation right now, but I'm sure he has a bright future in the NFL, and that's Cam Newton. He's a rookie quarterback hanging with the vets week in and week out. 22 completions out of 35 passing attempts, 290 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's hanging with the best, and he's a rookie in a place where they actually haven't had a quarterback for quite some time in the Carolina. And those are my top performers.
Just real quick before we go, touching on Bolden, you know he was motivated to play his old team, and it showed. He was making one-handed catches all over the field, and he didn't come down with a touchdown, but he definitely had one of his best games of the season against his former team.
As I said, I think he was the deciding man in that game. He was a beast. He was a possession receiver. He was beating his coverage. He was giving Joe Flacco a reason to want to go back out and win that game because he was playing for his quarterback, playing to beat his old team, playing for himself. I absolutely agree with you, Mike. Absolutely agree with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, when we get back, we're going to do our waiver wire. Exciting week. Halfway through the season. Don't miss out. This segment of the show, as you know, is the waiver wire. The reason why I'm really quiet about this segment, it's mid-season. Season's rolling down, obviously. The prospects from college football, the NFL's looking at them. And you you have to look at it as, who do I have? What can I scrap out of the barrel? If you're in a 16-league team, good luck. With all the injuries and all the replacements and all the teams in the NFL right now, it's very, very difficult to make it. Like, if you don't have a set team, it's just not an easy situation. I mean, it's like I said, we came out of a lockout. It's like, wow, this is going to be a great season. It's a very unexpected season. I really did not see a lot of this coming this season.
What you're saying, I'm actually in a 16-team. I'm in a few different leagues. I'm in a 16-team league and two 10-team leagues. And I'll tell you this: when you're in a 16-team league, when you're drafting, you got to think about situations like these. You can't just fill your bench with superstars because you're going to need those role players who don't get all the carries but are good for 8 to 11 points a game on your bench to come in when you have bye weeks, to come in when there is injuries. Because by the time late in the season comes, when all these guys breaking out have already made their presence in the NFL, like the Victor Cruz, like the guy like Jackie Battle, who's been forced into a starting role. Like let's go down the list. Give me a hand there, guys. What's another player that popped up out of nowhere?
Obama this weekend.
Well, I'll let you get to that in a second. I'm talking about guys who've made an impact on the start as a starter on this.
Christian Ponder is making an impact
Ponder now, Dalton, Simpson. These guys who have already established themselves well on their team. If you don't have these guys, or if you haven't had these guys yet, right now you're really scrapping at the bottom.
Well, speaking on behalf of us, we're actually in a couple leagues together. We represent the 12-team leagues, and if you're in a 12-team league, you're not in as much trouble as a 16-team league. I'm just going to read off the names that I found in free agency because these names, I'm a little surprised, but at the same time, I'm not surprised people are dropping them and picking them up. Just go over some quarterbacks real quick. Jay Cutler is still available in some leagues, believe it or not. I will grab him. He's still a good enough quarterback to have. Andy Dalton on the rise. I picked him up. Guy gave me 17 points this week. I'm so happy. And another guy I mentioned before, Christian Ponder. And this is still my player to watch because I think he's going to bring Minnesota into some sort of relevance this year. He's going to do way better than Tim Tebow. So I'll tell you that right now. A couple running backs I just want to name. Javon Ringer's a guy that I think maybe you should start looking at. Chris Johnson, like we mentioned earlier, not having the best performance. Javon Ringer's getting some of the carries. That's all I really. Oh, James Starks is another name I would mention too. He's still available in some leagues. I don't know if you want to read off some wide receivers.
Yeah, no, definitely. I have quite a few names here also. Speaking as someone who's in a 12-team league, at certain positions, it's not too bad, receiver, tight end, but if you're looking for a running back or a QB this late in the season, it might be a little thin. Andy Dalton, great pick by you. I'm sure you probably could have used 5 more Andy Dalton pickups to help you in that league.
I know.
I never thought I would say this, guys, but there's someone on the Jaguars I think you should go out and get, and his name is Jason Hill. He supplanted Mike Thomas, in the beginning of the season. Mike Thomas, there's a lot of talk about him being a #1. A lot of people expecting a good season out of him. He hasn't produced, and that opened it up for Jason Hill to take over that starting role. He's been a solid producer as a number 3 receiver, which is probably what he would be on your team. He's put up good numbers, 12 catches, over 200 yards, 3 TDs in his last 3 weeks.
He's better than Sims Walker right now.
Better than Sims Walker, better than Mike Thomas, and better than a lot of the other names out there like Omanadu and Levant out of Philly. I would take Hill over both of them. Keith Miller at the tight end position. You know, over the course of this season, he hasn't really done much, but over the last couple of weeks, he's been a solid producer, getting back to playing the way he used to play when Big Ben and him were connecting more often. Over the last 3 weeks, 18 catches, 217, 2 TDs. Just came off of a great game against the Patriots. Look forward to him having a good rest of the season. You mentioned James Starks. He is available in a lot of leagues, and I like him as an option instead of Ryan Grant. He's a younger back. He doesn't have as many miles on his legs. And, you know, towards the end of the season when the Packers are going to be grinding out wins, they're probably going to rely a lot more on Starks in a running game than through the air, at least. I think Jerome Simpson against the Seahawks.
I picked him up
He
too.
had only 1 catch, but it was for a TD. You know, fantasy owners, you can't frown on 8 points from a receiver or any player for that fact. Maybe not quarterbacks. You don't want your quarterback producing 8 points. But Jerome Simpson, you know, he's coming off of a couple of solid weeks. He's a number 2 out there, clear-cut number 2 behind A.J. Green. But he's still going to get you a lot of production. He has a good young QB and Andy Dalton throwing the ball. So look out for Jerome Simpson.
I want to go pick all these guys up, but I can't do it. So.
When we turn, start him and sit him. Who do we start? Who do we sit? Mad Mike in the house. Sorry about that. You got Mad Mike in the house. You got Mikey Z in the house.
That's right. That's right.
This is start him and sit him.
You know what time it is now?
Start him and sit him.
Start him and sit him.
Sit down.
So
Start. Go.
So I'm gonna start the segment off by mentioning one of my my little man crushes here that I have on this fantasy phenom.
We all have man.
We all have man crushes. You know, a lot of people have them with big names, but mine's is with a little known receiver out of Oakland by the name of Darius Hayward Bay. They just got Carson Palmer in town.
Yeah.
He did play a little against Kansas City. He didn't perform too hot. He had 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that can be chalked up to just rust and not playing for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, that's, of course, he hasn't played in a while.
Exactly.
The thing is, they've been very cautious in throwing him into the fire, too. They're like, he's still I had a buddy, Mike Shanahan.
Mike Shanahan.
Nice guy. I know, I swear, his name's legit Mike Shanahan. He's a Raiders fan, too. He's from Cali. He even said, he's like, Mike, he's like, listen, they're not going to start him off the bat. He's like, he hasn't got the playbook down there. He's like, they're going to be very, very cautious with him.
Yeah.
He wasn't too happy about the trade, by the way. He's like, come on. He's like, what was it? 2 firsts?
Yeah,
2
a
second
first and a potential first.
Yeah, he wasn't too happy about it. He really wasn't. But keep going.
Yeah, so, but they just came off their bye week. You know, they've had 2 weeks now to get on the same page. Darius Hayward Bay, you know, he's the number 1 option out there. Kevin Boss is injured. The other receivers don't matter. Hayward Bay is the only one that's going to be producing for you for the rest of the season. And they're going up against Denver. And, you know, they don't really have the best of defenses. So I think Carson Palmer is going to show the Raiders fans, you know, that he was worth a first-round pick this season and that, you know, he's going to lead them down to the playoffs. And they're not going to win anything, but he's going to get them to the playoffs. Another name, another man crush, A.J. Green, flying under the radar. But this guy has the potential to be a number 1 elite receiver in the caliber of Roddy White, Greg Jennings. He already has 5 TDs on the season. He had a TD on 4 catches last week against the Seahawks. That's 3 straight games with a TD. Look for him to go against Tennessee, not a strong pass defense, and get you at least 60 yards in another TD. He's Andy Dalton's favorite target. So A.J. Green, another receiver you need to start. In terms of like sit-ems, Curtis Painter, the Colts, come on. What are they playing for? They're playing for Andrew Luck. Don't look for Curtis Painter to do anything for you. I wouldn't recommend ever putting him in your lineup. Definitely sit him, if not drop him. Jay Cutler to go along with my QB role right
Unless
here.
you need him for a waiver wire.
Unless you need him.
But if you have...
He's going up against Philly, and we all think that the Dream Team is back to playing like the Dream Team that they were supposed to be. You got Austin Waugh playing well. Samuel is putting all of his squabbles aside, and he's playing like the Samuel that we used to see out in New England. Jason Babin's tearing it up. And, of course, LaShawn McCoy and Michael Vick are carrying the Eagles' offense. I don't think Cutler is going to do anything this week. And yeah, definitely put him on your bench.
Yeah, last season there was a knife in my Achilles heel.
Yeah, you know, he's
That's a
been
cool analogy, by the
inconsistent. Yeah, I like that analogy. He's been inconsistent though, and that offensive line doesn't help him at all. And lastly, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Who I'm gonna have to sit.
You're gonna have to sit him because he's got a really tough matchup this week. He's going up against the Jets.
That's my man crush, by the way.
He's going up against Darrell Revis.
Sorry, Ryan.
The best shutdown corner in the game. Steve Johnson, you're not going to hear a word from the commentators about Steve Johnson because he's going to be getting shut down. It's going to be basically on Fitzpatrick's shoulders to win the game. And will he be able to win it? I don't think so. Keep him on your bench. Sit him. Yeah. Not worth starting.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Definitely.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we get back, Smack Talk.
Yeah! Yeah!
This section of Smack Talk. Hey! Anyways, this section of Smack Talk.
Caught me by surprise.
I know, sorry. As you know, we are halfway through the season. And Super Bowl predictions are being shot out left and right. Super Bowl! Yeah, one of the biggest Sundays, as you know. And I just really want to know what your predictions are. The way this season's gone, it's if you want to pick two teams from the NFC and the AFC, who's going to win it? They say you look at it, it's just like, geez, I mean, it's football, anything can happen. But now it is, to me, I think it's an open shot thing. Definitely. It really is an open shot thing. I don't really just see one team that's just dominating, you know, this.
I got a team that's
I think we could all pick one team that's dominating.
I know, but I mean, this is a very interesting season. Let's start smacking people around.
I'm gonna almost smack myself doing this Smack Talk session. It's gonna be a smack on myself. Because I hope this doesn't happen, but I'm gonna get away from being a Patriots homer. I really hope they turn their things around. I do expect them to do well this season, but I'm gonna go what has happened thus far in the NFL, and I'd be dumb to not think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to represent the AFC East in the Super Bowl. You got people shaking their heads. No, give me a chance. Give me a chance. It's been proven that defense wins championships. It's been proven that when the weather gets cold, you need a good running game. Baltimore Ravens have the best out of the AFC in both departments. The Steelers are starting to make a run. Still not there yet. They played a Patriots team that I'm a little conflicted about right now, but we'll get that into a few later weeks, Extreme Fantasy Junkies, and I hope I'm wrong, but right now I don't see anybody playing tougher defense in the winter. I don't see anybody having a better running game than the Ravens, and I see them represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, and I see the Green Bay Packers represent the NFC East.
Beautiful.
I mean, excuse me, the NFC, not the NFC East. Excuse me. I see the Packers represent the NFC, and I see the Packers beating the Ravens in the Super Bowl, and I see Aaron Rodgers capping off one of the best years a quarterback has had in NFL history.
I would love to pull the rug out from you right now.
Let's do it.
And I'm going to go against the Baltimore Ravens pick, and I'm actually going to give you a little surprise. I think the Bengals are going to take that. They're going to take that spot from the Ravens.
Wow.
And let me.
I'm going to let you speak.
No. Let me bring to
light.
Let
Speak, please.
Let me bring to light some. Yeah, the Bengals haven't had a tough schedule as far. I realize that, but let me put something to light.
Who's playoff tested on the Bengals?
Listen, I'm going to bring something to light to you about the Ravens. That in 2 weeks I've noticed that has given me a less confident feeling about them. And this is this. Joe Flacco hasn't thrown a TD in 2 straight weeks, and that worries me. That worries me more than anything. More than the defense and more than that. I think defense wins championships, but I think offense also becomes a factor. You got to have a person under center who's confident enough to manage a game for 60 minutes. And that is why I'm going to actually go with last year's Super Bowl matchup, Steelers and the Packers. And I think those two teams are going to represent each other's conferences respectively. The Steelers are starting to come into that full form team, that well-balanced team that every year we always see the Steelers do this. They just beat They just won a huge game against the Patriots, and that was and everybody knows, everybody in New England and everywhere knows that the Patriots for years now have been able to beat the Steelers.
I know you're making points with the Bengals. I need to know what.
Where was the Bengals?
You
said the
and then you
Bengals.
switched it to the
No,
I said I think the Bengals are gonna try to take the spot from the Ravens. I don't think the Bengals are gonna win anything. By the way, let me just point that out. Let me clarify that.
Yeah, I thought you were making the Bengals as the AFC. That's why
I wanted to hear him.
I was about to flip this table and walk off the set, to be honest.
Michael, Mad Mike's hosting the show. I'm like, no.
Mad Mike is
I'm not going to be so bold as the Bengals are still a very young team. They got a bright future ahead of them. And I see them in the future maybe competing for a chance to represent the AFC. But right now, if I had to choose one team from the AFC, I'm going to go, I've been going with it for a couple weeks. I'm going to say it's going to be the Steelers for the AFC. In the NFC, it's becoming a tighter race slowly but surely. I mean, you got Detroit, who's on the uprise. You got Green Bay, who's just dominating. Always got to consider New Orleans. You always got to consider the Eagles, especially a team that's on the uprise now that hopefully should have that winning streak that you predicted. But I'm still going to say the Packers. Packers are unstoppable right now. You got Aaron Rodgers, who's MVP.
A rematch of last year.
I think it's going to be a rematch. I really do right now at this moment. But, you know, things could change over the next couple.
You said that you have to have a confident man under center who can take over, who can manage a game. I'm sorry. And I just don't see any Joe Flacco being any worse than the quarterback who was the quarterback for the Ravens when they won their first Super Bowl and only Super Bowl. That's Trent Dilfer. As long as Joe Flacco doesn't make bad mistakes, like, you know, what's that quarterback you high on? Tim Tebow?
Tim Tebow.
As long as he doesn't make mistakes like Tim Tebow, I think the Ravens are in good shape. And if Joe Flacco does not have to manage a game when you have a player like Ray Rice who does everything on offense.
I think in a few weeks, maybe, I don't know when they're meeting each other again, but I think what's going to tell us a lot is that Ravens-Steelers matchup, because the Ravens won the first matchup, and now we get to see a more improved Steelers team.
And the Ravens are going to win that second matchup.
Yeah,
and the Ravens are going to wrap it up and eliminate any doubt. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. You guys know who I want to be in the Super Bowl on the AFC.
Hey, you guys are talking too much.
All right, I'm sorry.
You guys are talking too much.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I'm not just sitting there laughing.
You guys are talking way too much.
No, exactly. Mike, you know, what are you doing? I'm just sitting here doing nothing. Mike, I want to see what's going on, man.
I think I'm going to have to agree with Jeff on this one.
Ravens.
I think I'm going to have to agree with Jeff. You know, Joe Flacco over the past couple of weeks hasn't looked sharp. He hasn't looked great, but I like the comparison to Trent Dilfer. I do think he's more talented than Trent Dilfer. I think he has a better arm than Trent Dilfer ever did. So, with that being said, the Ravens do thrive off of their rush and their defense. And they have the best running back in the AFC, and they have the best defense in the AFC. So, as far as the Ravens-Steelers matchup, the next matchup, I think it's going to be an exciting game, a tough game, a game that's going to be won in the trenches. And when it comes down to it, Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, and Ray Rice are going to carry their team to a victory over Big Ben and maybe a Rashard Mendenhall who has not played like a Rashard Mendenhall that we saw last season all year. That's the big difference between the two teams. Baltimore has a healthy Ray Rice who's producing. Pittsburgh doesn't really have a running game that they can depend on. Big Ben is doing it all in the air. He threw the ball 50-plus times against the Patriots, and it worked. But that type of passing attack isn't going to work against the Ravens, who have every.
And may I just?
Michael, you're going.
That's my AFC team. I'm going with the Ravens for the AFC. As far as the NFC goes,
this is what I want to have.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really tough for the Packers to just coast through the playoffs. The Eagles are going to definitely be a challenge for them, considering the way they're playing now, with the way LaShawn McCoy is playing now, with the way Austin Moss, Samuel Babin, and the rest of the Eagles are playing on defense. I think they're going to pose a challenge for the Packers. But with that being said, Aaron Rodgers is the best in the game right now. He's the ideal quarterback you want in a 2-minute drill situation, in a last-second situation. If you need points, he's the quarterback, and this is tough for me to say because I love Tom Brady, but at this point right now, I would want Aaron Rodgers over Tom
Aaron Rodgers has the...
He's looking so sharp right now.
Nooks and crannies of all good football.
Exactly. And he is more mobile than Brady ever was.
No,
and that's a crucial part of his game that going forward into the playoffs is going to be big.
I'm gonna let you guys all both of them.
Okay.
It's one thing that amazes me when I swear that ball almost fell off his hands. Grabbed and I'm like, oh my god, like what do you got? Like sticky fingers?
Yeah.
Like,
the thing with Aaron Rodgers is he's evolution of the quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. He's an accurate quarterback. He's a game manager.
Dangerous.
He's a smart quarterback. He's a long ball, short ball. Inside the pocket, outside the pocket. There's no flaw yet. I mean, everybody gets figured out.
Yeah.
Mike Vick got figured out. He had to turn into a pocket presence and less of a rushing quarterback.
Yeah.
Tom Brady got figured out. You got to hit him on his butt to throw him off cue with his short, precise passing. You know what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers, Super Bowl, coming off a Super Bowl, still not figured out. He's running, he's gunning, he's staying in the pocket and killing you. He's making the huge plays. He's making the smart, short throws. He's killing you all over the field. I agree with Mike on that assessment of Aaron Rodgers. And going back to, I know John's going to come in and talk some trash about the Ravens.
I want to see some heads get ripped off.
He's going to talk some trash about the Ravens. But I'd like to say this. I
definitely want to see some heads ripped off.
I got a point to make.
It's Halloween.
I got a quick point to make talking about your Steelers. Listen, Ravens versus Steelers defense right now, I'm listing the Ravens as the better defense. Ravens offense versus the Steelers offense. I'm going to say
Thanks,
this.
you led me to my point.
I'm going to bring it to your point. Patriots defense has been downright what this season? Bad. Yeah. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I respect them. They play schemes. They let their best player win them their games.
Tom Brady.
Now, but hold on. The Patriots defense held the Steelers, supposedly potent offense, to 23 points. With Tom Brady as your quarterback, and you could hold a potent offense to 23 points with guys like Mike Wallace, who's have been absolutely bananas the last few weeks, with guys like Brown, Miller, you can go down the list. If you can hold that offense to 23 points and be considered a bad offense, you can't say that offense is going to be a championship type offense against a bad defense.
Exactly.
Wait. No.
Because you guys have been doing all the talking in this segment. Just to wrap this section of the Smack Talk up, I just want to end it with this point about the Steelers. Yes, they do have a vaunted defense. Yes, they still have the steel curtain defense. And they're always going to be known for their defense. But one thing that they used to be known for is a running game. This season, the running game hasn't been as productive. And Big Ben has been forced to chuck the ball up more often than he's ever done in his whole career. When they were winning Super Bowls, they were winning it off of the Ravens' method, running and defense. But if you put the game in Big Ben's hands, can he come through for you? Personally, I don't think so.
He did
Especially, well, did they win a Super Bowl?
Yeah. They won that playoff game. Remember what happened in that game?
The ultimate goal is a Super Bowl. Did they win a Super Bowl?
My mom and Duke
they were closer than the
Ravens.
Ravens. And remember what happened in that Ravens-Steelers matchup? The Ravens team obliterated the Steelers in the first half. And I remember this because they were making defensive plays. They got a 21-point lead on them. And then guess what happened? The Steelers with Big Ben and probably Rashad Mendenhall as well came out. And that's what I'm going on right now.
Listen, Mendenhall from last season and this season are two different players. Look at the stats. He's not performing at the same rate that he was last season.
I agree with that.
And that's something that Baltimore has on Pittsburgh right now. Ray Rice is killing teams every week. Going into their matchup, it's going to be, in my opinion, a battle of who wins the game on the ground. Whoever wins the game on the ground is going to win the game. Is it going to be the Ravens with Ray Rice, or is it Mendenhall finally going to show up? It's going to be the Ravens.
But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not going too far off somebody, but Pat's perfect season. My mother, Mama Duke's lovely, by the way. She even said, I don't care about a perfect season, even though it was a big accomplishment. The cake is with the trophy. That's the cake. That's what you take home. That's your legacy. That's what cements you. I mean,
like I said, I'd like to revisit the subject a little bit later down on the season.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope by the end of the season I'm trading the Ravens with the Patriots. To be 100% honest with you.
We'll see.
But
We'll see.
We'll see. I mean, hey, there's still
I'd
a
like
lot
to
of teams
revisit
in it.
this. I'd like to
could
revisit
How
this.
about this? So I'll make an agreement right here, right now. Week 13.
We revisit the Ravens and the Steelers.
We revisit the whole Super Bowl.
All right.
And we'll give
All
ourselves
right.
one more chance
All
to get
right.
our picks right.
That sounds good.
We got
I like that.
We got a halfway mark in Week 13, 3 weeks out from the end of the season, where the playoff picture should start getting a little clearer.
Yep.
Because in the AFC East, we basically have a 3-team race.
Yeah. 3 teams.
Now the Jets have crept back in. The Patriots have dropped
And
one.
Buffalo
and
is-
Buffalo
Buffalo right now.
still hanging.
Wow.
Not pretenders. Still hanging. And I mean, out in the NFC can get interesting. You know, the Packers are 1 or 2 losses away from being the same company as the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions look pretty ferocious this past weekend. You know,
It's a shock.
Yeah,
But
let's
I'd
revisit it. Let's revisit
I'd
it.
like
Week
to
13.
throw a little extra smack talk segment here. I'd like you to get in on it too, Mad Mike. We don't hear enough of you and your opinion.
I know.
We gotta hear you
We're gonna
today.
get Mad
Yeah, I
Mike in
know.
this discussion. I want everyone to. Who do you think, thus far in the NFL season, has been the most important player to their team, and why?
Really want to know?
I really want to know what you think first, Mike.
Calvin Johnson.
Calvin Johnson.
Ah, you took my player. I'll think of another
Calvin
one.
Johnson.
Well, if
No, I got
if you
one. I
wanna
got one.
co-sign,
No, I got
co-sign.
one. I got one. I got a player.
So, like I said, if you're willing to post, I'm fine. But
No, it's fine. It's
it's
fine.
like, remember we had our Welker Johnson theory? Who throws the ball too well? Look at what happened Sunday's game.
Great point. buddy.
They covered Welker.
Great point. I like that.
Calvin, like I said, it wasn't his best game, but
I believe it's something that we've
What is
touched
it?
upon.
what is it? Two touchdowns almost every game. The yardage that he's gotten, it's ridiculous.
I believe it goes back to what we've argued over time and time again.
And remember, a couple of years back, who were the Lions?
Calvin Johnson could beat you with his sheer athleticism, his size, his speed. He could beat out coverages. He's a good pick.
Hey, he could play basketball if he
Hey,
had to.
listen, I still think you put him in that slot position. I think he could destroy that position along with the wide receiver spot. So, I still stand on that from day one since I said it.
I know, everyone's like, everyone bandwagons, and like, he is astonishing people.
Oh.
It is what it is. It is what it is. Calvin Johnson's your pick. I like your method. I like that pick.
I got a player I just thought of, actually. I think this player is actually the most important player right now to his team, Fred Jackson. And it looks like, from what you gather, he's a running back threat this year. I think he's going to be definitely top 10, maybe even top 5, depending on how consistent.
He's already in top 5.
Yeah, if he stays consistent, he's definitely top 5 in fantasy, so pay attention to that. But also, he's a receiving threat. And I know how you mentioned that Fitzpatrick should be sat, but I do want to bring out a point that even though Fitzpatrick might not be able to get to Stevie Johnson or Darrell Nelson or Scott Chandler, there's always still Fred Jackson available. And, the Bills have seemed to find success running schemes with Fred Jackson in the receiving game along with the running game. And I don't think he's going to be better than LaShawn McCoy. I think, honestly, LaShawn McCoy's going to be better than him. But right now, Fred Jackson, that guy is more valuable than Ryan Fitzpatrick, because Ryan Fitzpatrick, we already knew he had potential to become that great quarterback for that team, important for that team. But Fred Jackson this year popped out of nowhere. He's just proven a worth of value. And honestly, I'm going to make the argument and the case that Fred Jackson is the guy that's right now the most important, more important to me than Calvin Johnson.
Most influential player, Fred Jackson.
Yeah, well, I think he means more to the team than Calvin Johnson, because Calvin Johnson, you could have put another talented wide receiver like Calvin Johnson in the Detroit Lions.
There is no equal. There is no equal to Calvin Johnson.
Look, here's an up and comer. Here's someone who could have potential. Titus Young or T.D. Young.
But
right now, there's no equal.
You're going with Fred Jackson.
I'm going with Fred Jackson.
You're going with Fred Jackson.
Comparing apples and oranges.
That actually, John, leads right into my player, who I think is the most valuable to his team. And I know you said Fred Jackson is more valuable than Calvin Johnson, but my pick is going to be Matthew Stafford. Look at the Lions last season with an unhealthy Matthew Stafford. You had Megatron, and that was it. He would get his numbers, but they weren't winning anything.
Oh, look at last week.
Yeah, exactly. You have a healthy Matthew Stafford, which he's finally healthy now, and he's lighting the league up. He has incredible numbers, and he's getting the ball. He's just chucking it up to Calvin Johnson, and he's coming down with big plays. Seems like every week he's got a long TD. It really just showcased what a healthy Stafford brings to the Lions. He brings them back to relevance. He has them at 5-2 simply because he's healthy.
I remember
And
when they
Tebow
got.
is the
I
least
remember
influential
when
player.
they got Stafford. I remember. I'm sorry. I remember when they got Stafford.
I like the word health. I like the word healthy because that's a great segue into my most influential player of the 2011 season.
Every time we get up in the morning.
Ocho Cinco.
No.
Man, that's
So
good.
we need
You want to hear the
By the
shot
way,
in the world?
every time we wake up in
Sims
the morning.
Walker.
I think this is something that's happening in the back of your minds. You guys don't realize this, but it's something to ponder. The most influential player.
Curtis Ponder.
Curtis Ponder? No.
Curtis Ponder.
Who's
ready for
Curtis
this?
Ponder?
Isn't that his name?
It's not Christian Ponder.
Christian
Oh.
Ponder.
You got the right
This-
initial.
No, who is it?
Health. Talking about health. Talking about a guy who you show up to work, it makes a huge difference on your team, and he's healthy. Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Went from being almost sure shot playoff contenders in the AFC. Peyton Manning almost always being in contention for the MVP. Peyton Manning being flawless. Peyton Manning being better than Brady sometimes in some arguments. Peyton Manning being equal to Aaron Rodgers. Peyton Manning gets hurt. What happens to the Colts? Winless.
What happened?
Not
What
a
happened?
terrible different team. Hey, their defense isn't good.
Yeah.
When Peyton Manning is putting up 40 points a game, does the defense need to be good? Because there's not many teams who can hang with you. 40 points a game. Peyton Manning.
How has that man?
Peyton Manning getting hurt is the worst thing that has ever happened to the Colts, and it shows how influential, how important.
How
And
has
to
that
fantasy.
man? How has that man? By the way, that was the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention a week before ESPN. I watched it.
He
I
drafted Peyton Manning in
drafted
the first
Peyton Manning.
round.
Remember the first episode? I drafted Peyton Manning, and I got smacked around for it. And now I say to myself, how has he not been the MVP for the past 13 years? My father loves Tom Brady, but guys, don't kill my father. My father's a Peyton Manning fan. He's like, I'm sorry, guys, but he's like, I like him as a quarterback.
It goes to show. Like for years, I argued for Brady, and like when you're a Patriot fan, you learn to hate Peyton Manning. Just like when you're a Celtics fan, you learn to hate Magic Johnson
Or Kobe Bryant.
and Kobe Bryant. You can go down and listen to all the sports. You have those natural rivals, but in the end of the day, you respect them because you know that they're competitors, and that's why you hate them. But I mean, something that I've thought about this season really is Tom Brady went out with ACL. Matt Castle led the Patriots to 11-5. Not making the Super Bowl, that was a fluky season, but 11-5 you usually always make this. Excuse me, not
You
the
put
Super
up
Bowl,
a
the
good fight.
playoffs.
You put up a good fight.
Now you got essentially the same thing happened in the Colts where they lose Peyton Manning, and
Right.
now they're winless. They haven't looked like a shadow of themselves as they have last few seasons.
I mean, Dallas
It's
Clark just
It's
had a decent
scary.
game this week, 77 yards.
That says a lot about
Very
the
scary.
franchises, because when Brady went down, the Patriots didn't have a Wayne or a Clark. They didn't have the weapons that the Colts have always had, but they were still able to go 11.
He was still
Yeah.
able to
So-
put.
And speaking of
scary.
Peyton Manning,
it's scary, man.
Speaking of Peyton Manning, we also have a bonus smack talk subject that we didn't put in the show that we're going to put in this week for you guys.
What a segue. I swear that wasn't scripted.
Sorry.
I know. I didn't.
Anyway, Matt, Mike, why don't you take us home on this Hallows Eve?
Well, I want each and every one of you, especially the little guys, be careful. You know it's cold. Stay with your
Check your
mommies, daddies.
candy.
Check your candy too. I mean, you know it's got to be wrapped. Check the date. But anyways, in all seriousness, I hope you enjoyed this session of Extreme Fantasy Junkies. I did. I mean,
Another great week.
another great week. You can follow us on Twitter. Are we on Twitter?
We are
are on Twitter.
Oh my God! I didn't even know that. I thought I made a mistake. We are on Twitter.
You know, we're not junkies on Twitter though. We just got the J only.
So
Follow us at
Extreme Fantasy J at Twitter.
On Twitter.
Yeah,
on
we're-
Twitter.
You can follow us at Facebook, Extreme Fantasy Junkies. On YouTube, we have our YouTube page, which is critical. Love YouTube.
we might get a Google Plus. I haven't decided on that.
yeah,
We're
we're
working on
Google
it.
for now.
Let's hammer all these Super Bowl predictions.
And
Yeah.
also follow us at Gmail, right?
Yeah, email us.
Yeah, email us
Extreme Fantasy Junkies
at
at Gmail.
at
Send us your
gmail.com.
questions. You know,
Yeah.
we love getting
Calvin
questions.
Chang. Once again, thank you. Like I said, hats off to
You want-
Calvin.
even if you want to join in on this Super Bowl, you know, I'm gonna put a quick little challenge out there to you viewers. If you think any differently than one of us when it comes to Super Bowl
Gladly
predictions,
step up. Gladly step
most
up.
influential players, you know, give us your opinion, give us your reasoning. We'll read it out loud here next week.
Yeah,
you
bring it.
you might
Leave the
shock us all.
comments. Leave the comments on the videos. You
Yeah.
know, we'll definitely mention
Let
you
us
guys,
know.
give you guys a shout out during the
Let
show.
us know. Let us know for real.
Like I said, happy Halloween. Good night. Good game.